Hello and welcome to the first tutorial for the ultimate turn-based battle system for Unity. In this video, we are going to take a look at the Stats tab inside the custom ultimate turn-based battle system window. Stats are one of the most important foundations of the entire battle system because they define the values that heroes, enemies, equipment, status effects, and damage formulas can work with. So before creating heroes, enemies, skills, or more advanced battle content, it is a good idea to understand what the Stats tab does and how you should use it. This video will focus only on the Stats tab. Other parts of the custom window, such as affinities, skills, items, equipment, status effects, and calculations, will be covered in separate tutorials. To open the ultimate turn-based battle system window, go to the top menu in Unity and open the UTBBS window. Inside the window, you can see several tabs for creating and managing battle system data. For this tutorial, we will stay on the Stats tab. The Stats tab contains the global stat list for the battle system. This means that the stats you define here become available automatically when creating heroes and enemies. For example, if your stat list contains strength, defense, magic strength, magic defense, speed, and agility, these stats will appear when you create or edit hero and enemy data. Strength can be used for physical damage. Defense can be used to reduce incoming physical damage. Magic strength can be used for magical damage. Magic defense can be used to reduce incoming magical damage. Speed can be used to determine turn order. Agility can be used for custom systems, critical hit calculations, evasion, or other gameplay ideas depending on your project. The default battle system already uses these stats directly. For example, the turn order system uses the speed stat. This means that heroes and enemies with higher speed values can act earlier in battle. The calculation settings also use stat names inside damage formulas. For example, the physical damage formula can use the dealer's strength and the receiver's defense. The magical damage formula can use the dealer's magic strength and the receiver's magic defense. This is why it is important to keep your stat names clear and consistent. If a formula refers to a stat name, that stat should exist in the global stat list and should also be available on your heroes and enemies. Now let's add a new stat. To add a new stat, click the Add Stat button. This creates a new empty entry in the stat list. After adding the entry, type the name of the stat into the text field. For example, we could create a stat called Luck. Luck could later be used for critical hit chances, drop rates, status effect chances, or any custom logic you want to add to your project. The battle system allows you to define these stats, but it is important to understand one thing. Adding a new stat makes it available as data, but it does not automatically create new gameplay logic for that stat. For example, if you add a stat called Luck, the system can store luck values for heroes and enemies. You can also use luck in your own formulas or custom code, but the system will not automatically know what luck should do unless you connect it to a formula, a status effect, equipment bonus, or custom gameplay logic. So when adding custom stats, always ask yourself, what should this stat affect? Should it be used in a damage formula? Should it be changed by equipment? Should status effects increase or decrease it? Should it be used by my own custom scripts? This makes the stat list very flexible, but it also means that new stats should be planned carefully. Now let's look at deleting stats. Each stat entry has a delete button. When you click delete, the stat is removed from the global stat list. Be careful when deleting stats that are already used by heroes, enemies, formulas, equipment, or status effects. If a formula still refers to a stat that no longer exists, the related setup may no longer work as expected. For example, if your damage formula uses strength, but you delete the strength stat, the formula will no longer have a valid stat value to work with. The same applies to hero and enemy data. If heroes or enemies were created with a stat that you later remove, you should review those characters and update their data if needed. In general, I recommend setting up your core stats before creating a large number of heroes and enemies. A good workflow is, first, define your core stats. Then create your heroes and enemies. Then create skills, equipment, status effects, and formulas that use those stats. This makes your project much easier to manage. Now let's quickly look at how these stats are used after they are created. When you go to the Create Hero tab, the stats from the Stats tab become available for the hero's stat growth setup. This allows each hero to have different stat values depending on their level. For example, a warrior could have high strength and defense, while a mage could have high magic strength and magic defense. The same applies to enemies. When you create enemies, they also use the same global stat list. This keeps the battle system consistent because both heroes and enemies are working with the same stat names. Equipment can also interact with stats. For example, a sword could increase strength, armor could increase defense, or a magical staff could increase magic strength. Status effects can also affect stats. For example, a buff could increase strength for a few turns, or a debuff could reduce defense. And finally, the calculation settings can use stats directly in formulas. This means the Stats tab is not just a simple list. It defines the shared language that many battle systems use to communicate with each other. In the next tutorials, we will continue with the other tabs of the ultimate turn-based battle system window and look at how they work together to create complete turn-based RPG battles. Thank you for watching. If this video helped you, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more tutorials and updates about the ultimate turn-based battle system.